It's a new year and a new chance for you to make a fresh start with your compliance. For we're going to be bringing you a daily tip, strategy, or idea that you can use to improve your program. Here's your host, Tom Bach, the compliance evangelist.
Welcome to 2024. As always, in the month of January, I do a 31-day series entitled 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. In the month of January 2024, we'll be doing that, and today is day one. This year, I'm going to open with some of the key speeches from the Department of Justice in 2023 and how those speeches really portend what DOJ enforcement will look like, and equally importantly, what you as a compliance professional will need to do to respond to these new DOJ initiatives. While there were, of course, multiple FCPA enforcement actions from 2023, I really think these speeches from the Department of Justice portend where the DOJ is going with enforcement and give us greater insight to what their expectations were going to be. So we're going to start this month by looking at these key speeches and other initiatives from the Department of Justice, and then we'll move into how you can respond for your compliance program. I know you'll enjoy this month of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program, and I know you'll find it informative. Day 11, moving compliance tone down through an organization. Mike Volkov has said, even when a company does all the right things at the senior management level, the real issue is whether or not that culture has embedded itself in middle and lower management. The company's culture is reflected in the values and beliefs that exist throughout the company. To fully operationalize your compliance program, you must articulate the message of ethical values and doing business in compliance, then drive that message down, top down throughout your organization. 2023 ECCP made clear that a company must have more than simply a good tone at the top. It must move tone down through the organization from senior management to middle management and into its lower ranks. The 2023 ECCP stated, quote, beyond compliance structures, policies, and procedures, it is important for a company to create and foster a culture of ethics and compliance with the law at all levels of the company. The effectiveness of a compliance program requires a high-level commitment by company leadership to implement a culture of compliance from middle. This requirement speaks to the greater role of non-compliance functions in a fully operationalized compliance program. Indeed, one sign of mature compliance and ethics program is the extent to which a company's other corporate disciplines are involved in the implementing and then taking forward a compliance solution. This approach can act as a linchpin in spreading a company's commitment to compliance throughout the employee base. It can also be used to connect the dots in many divergent elements of a corporate compliance and ethics program. What should tone in the middle be? What should middle management's role be in a compliance program? This role is critical because the majority of company employees most often work directly with middle rather than top management, and consequently, they will take their cues from middle management and how they respond in a situation. Perhaps most importantly, middle management must listen to the concerns of employees. Even if middle management cannot affect a direct change, it is important that employees have an outlet to express their concerns. Your organization should train middle managers to enhance listening skills in the overall context of providing training for their manager's toolkit. This can be particularly true if there is a compliance violation or other incident which requires some form of employee discipline. Most employees think that it is important that there be organizational justice so people believe they can be treated fairly. For if there is organizational justice, it engenders a perception of procedural fairness, which makes it more likely that employees will be willing to accept a decision they may not like or disagree with the end result. Even with great tone at the top and positive mood in the middle, you cannot stop there. One of the greatest challenges for a compliance practitioner is how to impact the most frontline employees or the tone at the bottom. One of the things you cannot do is assemble a compliance focus group one of the things rather you can do is to assemble a compliance focus group to find out how business is done in the field and if it differs from what your company expects from an ethical and compliance perspective. Begin by assembling a group of employees who are familiar with the challenges of doing business in a compliant manner in certain geographic regions to discuss the challenges of doing business ethically and in compliance. Ask them questions about their understanding of your compliance regime. Then categorize the answers into the theory and practice of compliance in your company. From this, test what is real in theory and what is real in or actual in practice. You can check and see which employees are promoted more regularly, etc. If you can move the values that are articulated at the top into the middle and down into your organization, you're going to have a much stronger organization, do business more ethically and in compliance. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, tone at the top. Direct supervisors have become the most important influence on people at companies. Number 2, give your middle managers a toolkit around compliance so they can fully operationalize compliance. And number 3, organizational justice is an additional way to help bring operationalized compliance, doing business ethically and in compliance, to your entire company going forward. I hope you will join me tomorrow for day 12, where we take up the always important topic of your code of conduct.
For listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.